Hello from Seoul! Have you ever tried making tonkatsu at home? Was it as good as the one from the restaurant? If it wasn't, you definitely need this video. Are you guys ready? Let's get started! Today, I'm gonna make Japanese tonkatsu in two ways. While the first one is more like a common way to cook, the second one is how I usually make it at home. You will get to know why I introduced two ways in a few seconds. For the first way, you will be needing pork, flour, egg, and white bread. You might wanna ask, Aaron, where is panko bread crumbs? Good question. Today, I'm not gonna use this because I'm gonna make fresh bread crumbs. If you are looking for the tonkatsu that you ate at a restaurant, this kind of panko bread crumbs can help you. Let's prep the meat first. Today, I'm using pork loin. You can also use other parts, such as tenderloin. But how to make it with tenderloin is a little bit different, so let's talk about that in another episode. Cut this into quite thick pieces. About 2 centimeters or 2.5 would be perfect. If you don't want to get some tough and weirdly twisted tonkatsu, bring your fork and knife, and I want you to step into it. This step is very important because it will not only tenderize your meat but also prevent your pork from shrinking and curving while you're deep frying, which means your meat and the crust won't separate from each other. Now let's get seasoning on our meat with some salt and pepper. Now let's marinate the pork. Put 5 tablespoons of water, 1 teaspoon of sugar, 3 tablespoons of sake in a mixing bowl and mix it. If you can't get sake, you can use soju, tequila, vodka, or something like that. Put all the pieces into a bag and pour the marinade sauce on top. Can I call this sauce? Anyways, this step will definitely remove the unpleasant smell from the pork and tenderize your meat. Some restaurants use this kind of a hammer, but if you pound it out, you can get a nicely shaped big fat tonkatsu. However, with this method, you don't have to be thorough with a hammer. From now, let's give them privacy in the fridge for 2 hours. This time, let's talk about the breadcrumbs. In Korea or Japan, you can easily purchase this kind of panko breadcrumbs and even fresh breadcrumbs too. But in other countries, it won't be easy to find them. But don't worry about it. With this white bread, there's nothing to worry about. First, since we're gonna use only the soft part inside, let's cut the crust off the bread. The reason why I'm not using these edges is because the crust can get slightly bitter when it's deep fried, so make sure to remove them and then grate the bread. You can also put them in a food processor and grate it very shortly. If it's too fine, you can get the visual or the texture that we're looking for, so make sure not to grate it too long. Some of you might say, Aaron, I don't have a grater and a food processor. What should I do? Don't worry about it. Then you can just use your hands. Tear the bread into small pieces. Just do whatever works for you. This time, let's make the tonkatsu sauce. I'm gonna show you the simplest way. Put 1 teaspoon of sugar, 3 tablespoons of ketchup, 1 tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce, 1 tablespoon of oyster sauce, and mix it. If you have Japanese mustard sauce, you can add a half teaspoon into it, but sadly, I don't have it, so I'll skip it. Don't worry about it. It's alright. We can actually boil and thicken the sauce, but let me stop here. Still delicious. Let's keep it simple. What kind of garnish did you get with tonkatsu? Yes, that's right, the cabbage. If there's no cabbage salad, we feel something is missing, so let's prep the cabbage. Slice some cabbage as thinly as possible. I'm using a knife because I need a beautiful B-roll, but if you use a vegetable slicer, it'll be much easier. Not only that, since your cabbage will be pretty much the same in thickness, people will think your knife skill is amazing. So don't forget to hide your slicer when you're done. Soak them in cold water. If you leave your cabbage at the counter for a while, it will get dark and ugly. Also, it will help reduce the bitterness in your cabbage so that you can fully enjoy sweet and light cabbage salad. I'm gonna show you one salad dressing, which is called sesame dressing. But you can use any kind of store-bought salad dressing because sesame dressing at the supermarket is pretty good. But still, I won't say the name of the product, so call me if you're working in the marketing division of the dressing. I know you are watching this. First of all, put 3 tablespoons of toasted sesame seeds and grind them with a mortar and pestle. Add 1 tablespoon of sugar, 5 tablespoons of mayonnaise, 1 tablespoon of vinegar, 1 teaspoon of soy sauce, a half tablespoon of sesame oil, a little bit of salt, and mix it. Some of you might say, mayonnaise? Aaron, I'm on a diet. Then I suggest putting in less mayonnaise but adding some yogurt instead. Now I even care about your weight. How considerate I am. Take out your meat, who's having so much fun in the fridge, and pat dry with some paper towels. If it's too wet, because of the liquid, the crust can be easily separated from the meat, so make sure to get rid of the moisture. Take out 3 plates and prepare flour, egg wash, and breadcrumbs. First, dredge the pork in the flour. When you are doing this, try to coat it evenly so that the flour doesn't clump on the surface. Now, move to the egg wash. After that, it's very common to finish it with breadcrumbs, but to get an extra crispy crust, I'm gonna go back to the flour. Now, the egg wash again, and coat it with breadcrumbs. Compared to dried breadcrumbs, the size of your breadcrumbs might be larger, so it might be more difficult for you to coat it completely. But please make sure that all the sides are perfectly coated, otherwise the crust will easily come off, so you might have a naked cutlet. Finally, it's time for deep frying. The best oil temperature for this bad boy would be 170 degrees Celsius or 338 degrees Fahrenheit. If you have a deep fryer at home, that would be the best. But if you don't, you can get the best result with this kind of thermometer. If you don't have a large deep fryer but you're making this kind of thick tonkatsu, I suggest putting 1 or 2 cutlets into the oil, because when the pork cutlet goes in, the oil temperature will dramatically drop, which means your tonkatsu can be undercooked. What if you cut your tonkatsu but it's undercooked? Then what are you gonna do? Are you gonna deep fry it again? Absolutely not, right? You have only one choice: microwave. Since you put it in a microwave, I have to say your tonkatsu is dead. Pork cutlet is all about crispiness. That's the point. So please do not overcrowd the pan. 1 or 2 pieces will be enough. If you cooked at 170 degrees Celsius or 338 degrees Fahrenheit, after about 6 minutes, you will get the perfect beautiful golden brown tonkatsu. Then take it out and let it rest on a cooling rack for about 3 minutes. Now let's cut this tonkatsu. We made authentic tonkatsu in a common way, but how does it look? The juice came out of the meat and the meat contracted while it's being deep fried. So I ended up with tonkatsu who's about to take off his clothes. I'm sure each restaurant tried thousands of experiments and came up with a solution, but we can't put that much effort into it, right? But don't worry about it. I'm here for you guys. That's why I said I'm gonna show you 2 ways in the beginning. To prevent that situation, what we need is potato starch. It doesn't have to be potato starch. You can also use cornstarch, so just use what you have in your kitchen. Put 4 tablespoons of potato starch in a mixing bowl and crack an egg. Whisk it until all the starch and the egg are well combined. Once again, get rid of excess moisture from the meat with paper towels and then put it in the egg mixture. Rather than dipping it, you are more like spreading the egg mixture on the surface, just like spreading glue on a piece of paper. Like I said before, the best oil temperature is 170 degrees Celsius or 338 degrees Fahrenheit. But if you're still not confident of controlling the oil temperature, you can deep fry them at a lower temperature. You may not get the best tonkatsu, but it's better than getting charcoal. So I suggest cooking at about 150 degrees Celsius or 302 degrees Fahrenheit for 4 to 5 minutes. And change your heat to high heat and cook for 3 to 4 more minutes. As I always say, there's no one answer in cooking. Try many ways and find the best that works for you. While resting the tonkatsu, let's put some cabbage and some rice on a plate. If you can add some color to your dish, it's even better, right? Now let's cut the cutlet into bite-sized pieces. I want to show you this beautiful tonkatsu b-roll for a long time, so I want to say something more, but there's nothing more to say. I'm so sad about it. Transfer it to the plate. Depending on your taste, you can pour the sauce or serve it in a separate bowl. The same goes for the salad dressing. Alright, finally, it's done. Let's go to our taste tester. Claire?
와, 비주얼 미쳤네. Look at this. To fully enjoy this, I want to try it with salt and pepper first. Give it to me. Thank you. Ooh, that's what I want. Dip it in the salt and pepper. Put some wasabi on top. I'm so excited. 겉은 엄청 바삭하고 육즙은 제대로 살아있네. 역시 고기가 이 정도 두께는 돼야지 좀 씹는 맛도 있고 맛있는 것 같아. 육즙도 나오고 너무 맛있다. This time with the sauce. Just looking at it makes me satisfied. 고기가 이렇게 두꺼운데도 되게 부드럽게 잘 씹힌다. 소스 되게 맛있네. 약간 시큼한 느낌이 있어가지고 입맛을 돋구는 그런 맛인 것 같아. 너무 맛있는데? I can see a lot of sesame seeds. 기가 막히네. 와, 이거 드레싱 사서 먹을 필요가 없는데 돈가스랑 너무 잘 어울려. 솔직히 인간적으로 돈가스는 너무 맛있어. 나는 아침에도 먹을 수 있고 점심에도 먹을 수 있고 저녁에도 먹을 수 있고 심지어 365일 먹어도 안 질릴 수 있는 자신이 있어. Seriously, who invented this? I wanna give him a prize or something. I love you.
Today, I showed you how to make tonkatsu in 2 ways. Since I gave you too much information, it may sound difficult. But trust me, if you try it, you will know it's way easier than you think. So please try sometime. Alright, this is it for today, and I'll see you next time.